Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Sports Ball Network, the network for all your sports ball related content. For today's video, I want to try out something a little different. On this channel, I mostly discuss real events from the past or present, or hypothesize things in the future. For example, I talk about surprising teams or players, trades, power rankings, etc. But today I want to think about a fun hypothetical scenario. Using the current point per game averages of qualified NBA players as of December 21st, could you build a championship level team out of a 10-man rotation that averages less than 100 points per game? And that probably sounds crazy, right? I mean, we're almost in the year 2024. The NBA average for points in a game is 115.2. The best offense in the league, the Indiana Pacers, score 127.1 points per game. Even the best defense in the league only allows 106.9 points per game. So this is probably going to be really hard. I'm going to create 3 lineups that meet the requirements for this challenge and discuss why I think these teams could maybe compete for a championship. I will also put them into NBA 2K and see how they do in that, but that game sucks and the sim engine is terrible and unrealistic, so I really want to hear from you guys whether you think these teams would work or not, and if you have any ideas on how to improve them. Well, without further ado, let me introduce you to team number 1. At the starting point guard position, I have Jrue Holiday, who is averaging 12.6 points per game as of the time of this recording, and I think he provides a lot of value at only 12.6 points. We know he's an elite on-ball defender, a capable facilitator, and a good, yet sometimes streaky three-point shooter. This season though, he's shooting almost 40% from 3. Jrue Holiday has the ability to score more, but he's just been able to take a back seat on this stacked Boston offense, so I think for our team, he's a great pickup. At the shooting guard position, I have Quentin Grimes, and spoiler alert, this is not the last time you're going to hear his name in this video. He's had a bit of a tough start to the season and has moved in and out of the Knicks starting lineup, but his skill set is too valuable to pass up on at just 6.6 points per game. He has the ability to be a knockdown shooter, plays great hard defense, defending usually a team's best perimeter player, and can sometimes make something happen off the dribble after a pump fake on the perimeter. He's obviously not a star, but you need these kind of role players in a scenario like the one that I've created where you can only have 100 points per game total in your lineup. And at small forward, I have Chris Middleton, who's only averaging 13 points per game to start the season, and this is an amazing pickup. He's been a go-to scorer for a championship team before, but is only averaging 13 points this season as 1, he's now the 3rd option, and 2, he's playing less minutes per game to keep himself healthy and rested after some recent injuries. At the power forward position, I have Nicholas Batum, easily the worst player in our starting lineup, but Batum is a veteran that has been a starter on many playoff teams throughout his career. He's in his 15th season, but he can still defend a little bit and hit the 3 ball, and honestly, that's all we need him to do. The value is just too good with him only averaging 5.7 points per game. And at the center position, I have the 2-time MVP out of Serbia, Nikola Jokic. Jokic is arguably the best player in the NBA, and he can do it all for this team. He scores 26.5 points per game on amazing efficiency, while also averaging nearly 12.5 rebounds and 9.5 assists. Jokic has shown us he's one of those players that can just lead a team to nearly 50 wins just by being on it, no matter who his supporting cast is. And before I get to the bench, I want to explain why I think this lineup could work. Obviously, the offense would revolve around Jokic as the primary ball handler, and they could run a bit of a 5-out set. Jokic is going to demand a lot of double teams in the post, and he's always going to find the open shooter. And all 4 of the guys on the floor with Jokic in the starting lineup, I would say, are at the very least average shooters. Additionally, in late game situations, the hope is that Chris Middleton can create his own shot, like he did so well for the Bucks in the 2021 playoffs. So onto the bench, we have TJ McConnell averaging 8 points per game. He's another savvy veteran that's an amazing playmaker, an amazing opportunistic defender, even had his small stature, and he can shoot the 3 ball a little bit as well, so that's a really good addition for us. At the other guard spot, I have Pat Connaughton, who's averaging 5.6 points per game. You just always know what you're going to get out of him, you know, good defense, a fine 3-point shot, and some athleticism that could be a spark off the bench. My first wing off the bench is Josh Hart, who's averaging 7.8 points per game this season as a do-it-all wing. He's one of the best guard/wing defenders and rebounders in the game right now. He's going to out-hustle everyone else on the court, and he has a pretty nice three-point stroke and an ability to create for himself when needed. And at the other wing spot, I have Royce O'Neal. He can also defend a little bit and has done a great job with the three-point shot this year. Both of our wings are only 6'4", which is a bit concerning, but Josh Hart has played plenty of backup power forward for the Knicks this year and held his own, and we also have Nicholas Batum and Chris Middleton that can maybe slide to the 4 if needed. Finally, the backup center I chose is Mitchell Robinson. He only averages 6.2 points per game, but he was a real DPOY candidate before he had to get surgery that might end his season. However, he is still a qualified player under the NBA's metrics as of now, so I will be using him in this challenge. He is an amazing offensive and defensive rebounder and defender, which is definitely going to help this team off of the bench. I think this team could seriously compete for an NBA championship, as it resembles the roster makeup of the 2021 Milwaukee Bucks and the 2023 Denver Nuggets. As of December 21st, this team averaged 99.8 points per game and has that nice blend of offense and defense, and has a top 3 player in the NBA. So let's see how they do in 2K. Big emphasis on our big 3 in the starting lineup when it comes to minutes, and off the bench we have Josh Hart in the 6-man role. Mitchell Robinson's playing pretty much the minutes Jokic is not playing, and everyone else is getting their run as well. By the end of the season, Nikola Jokic did not win a third MVP, but was on the NBA first team, and we also had Jrue Holiday on the defensive second team, even at his pretty old age. The team finished with a 49-33 record, which earned them third place in the conference, and they outperformed their real-life counterparts from a scoring perspective, averaging 115 points per game, when in real life their cumulative total was 99.8. Jokic was obviously the top dog, averaging 20 points, 12 rebounds, and 8.5 assists per game, while Jrue Holiday and Chris Middleton were fantastic 2 and 3 options. I apologize that these are all screenshots. I didn't take my capture card to visit my family during the holidays, but we can see the playoffs here. They matched up against Miami in round 1 and won in 5 games. They beat Indiana in 5 games in round 2, and the Hawks in the conference finals in once again 5 games. They went all the way to the Larry O'Brien Trophy too, sweeping the Phoenix Suns in the finals. Jokic was just unstoppable, averaging a 35-point triple-double in the finals, and so yeah, I would say that Team 1 was definitely a success, at least from a 2K perspective. Alright, now let me introduce you to Team number 2. At the point guard position, I have James Harden this time. Averaging just 17.1 points per game, he brings a lot of value to the team. He's been really good since joining the Clippers, so we hope we can get that level of production from him in this hypothetical scenario. He's obviously one of the best facilitators in the NBA, but he's still really good at creating his own shot, even if he's a little bit inefficient at times. Finding people at good value that can create their own shot is very important in this challenge, because most of the guys who are really good at creating their own shot average 25, 28, 30 points per game. At shooting guard, I have Malik Beasley. He's averaging 11.8 points per game this season as a secondary shot creator and 3-point specialist. For this season, he's shooting 45% on threes so far, many of which come off the catch and shoot, which is a great combination with James Harden. He's going to get a lot of open 3-point opportunities. At the small forward position, you know him, you love him, it's Quentin Grimes. We just need that 3-and-D wing here, as our backcourt does not have the greatest on-ball defenders with James Harden and Malik Beasley, and averaging just 6.6 points per game, the value is just too good to pass up on. And then at the power forward position, I have Kawhi Leonard. So yeah, we're pretty much just building the budget Clippers. Kawhi has been fantastic this year, but he's only averaging a relatively modest 24.4 points per game, but that does not show how good he's been this season. We know Kawhi is one of the best two-way players in the league, but most importantly, he can create his own shot from the 3 or the mid-range. And rounding out the starting lineup is Mitchell Robinson once again. Same stuff as I mentioned before, amazing defender, amazing rebounder, and he would be a really nice lob threat to pair with James Harden as well. He doesn't need the ball in his hands too much and only averages 6.2 points per game. And let me get onto the bench for this team, because I think the bench is actually a big strong suit of this team. Our first bench player is Peyton Pritchard. He would be a great spark plug for this team as a secondary ball handler and a very, very capable three-point shooter. He's only averaging 7.1 points per game this season just because the Boston Celtics have so many weapons. We also are going to have Alex Caruso as our second guard coming off the bench, who's averaging 9.6 points per game. Caruso's an absolute steal at that value. He's one of the best perimeter defenders in the league, a good shooter, and capable in all other facets of the game. For our wings off the bench, we once again have Pat Connaughton and Nicholas Batum. I know I sound like a broken record, but to optimize this hypothetical scenario, you need three-point shooting and you need defense, and these guys provide a bit of both. And finally, for the backup center, I have another Nick, but not Mitchell Robinson. I have Isaiah Hartenstein. He's averaging only 5.9 points per game, but he does so much besides score. He can facilitate from the high post like Domantas Sabonis, he can rebound the ball really, really well, and he moves very well laterally on the perimeter as well. Just like the real-life Knicks, the center rotation of Mitchell Robinson and Isaiah Hartenstein gives us a nice change of pace. So this scenario is in a world of no injuries, as we can only rely on this 10-man rotation, and in that world, this seems like a really good team. A really good blend of shot creating and shot making ability, with some good defenders and a lot of different ways they could mix and match this lineup. I'm a little bit worried about the defense of Harden and Beasley in the backcourt, as the Bucks have had similar problems with Damian Lillard and Malik Beasley, but that's why I invested almost 10 points in our backup guard in Alex Caruso, and we have Quentin Grimes as our starting small forward. I think this would absolutely be a playoff team, but I'm not sure they would be quite as successful as team number 1. But let's see how they do in the 2K simulation. We're going to be playing Harden and Kawhi 35 minutes per game, and the rest of the team's going to have some balanced minutes. In 2K, the bottom of our bench is rated pretty low, but they got Hart. Not Josh Hart, but Hart. So I believe in them. This team finished 47-35, only 2 less wins than Team 1, but in this sim that was only good enough for the 6th seed. This team scored at a similar clip, 114.9 points per game, but played worse defense unsurprisingly. Kawhi scored 28.3 points per game, but did not make an All-NBA team, as Harden made All-NBA third team with 23 points and 9 assists per game. Malik Beasley was disappointing, and Peyton Pritchard was super inefficient, and that may be the downfall of this team. Like the real-life New York Knicks, this team was able to defeat the Cavaliers in 5 games, some 2023 deja vu, but they did fall to the 7-seeded Brooklyn Nets in a straight-up sweep of the second round. And finally, let's talk about team number 3. The point guard for this team, we're starting off with a bang, Stephen Wardell Curry. Yeah, on the season, Steph Curry is averaging 28.2 points per game, but I think he is worth that much of our budget. He's a top 5 player in the NBA, and the gravity he commands when he has the basketball will open up so much for the rest of our team. At the shooting guard, we have our guy Quentin Grimes once again, 6.6 points per game, no need for further explanation here. At the small forward position, I'm going to go with Royce O'Neal, this time as a starter. Obviously, I want to surround Steph Curry and our power forward, who I'm going to get to in a second, with guys who can shoot and guys who can defend, and I think Royce O'Neal fits that mold pretty dang well. And at our power forward position, we have LeBron James. Yes, we are pairing up Steph Curry and LeBron James in this challenge. So far this season, LeBron James is averaging 25.2 points per game while doing everything for his Lakers team. LeBron has dragged far worse teams than this to the playoffs in his career, even the finals, and I just don't know how you would stop a combo of Steph Curry and LeBron James, to be honest. And rounding out the starting lineup is Kevon Looney. Honestly, I think you could swap this center with our backup center depending how you want to play, but I think Looney is the better fit in the starting lineup. He's a monster on the glass and a solid team defender. The starting lineup has a really nice balance of shooting from 1 to 4, defenders on the wing, good rebounding from Kevon Looney, and just the fact that you have 2 of the greatest players of all time on the same team is definitely enough to make a deep run in the playoffs. There are going to be other lineups with better third options and better benches, but it's really hard to make a lineup that has 2 25-point per game scorers and 2 all-time legends. Going over the bench, at the backup point guard position, we have a new face in Cameron Payne. He's only averaging 6.1 points per game, but we've seen him be a very capable backup in important playoff games. He had that really nice run in 2021 with the Suns, and we're hoping he can replicate that success for us. At the other guard spot, I'm going to bring in Seth Curry, pairing Steph with his brother. He's only averaging 4.5 points per game. And yeah, I mean, Seth, we all know he's a sharpshooter that runs in the Curry family, so having a little bit of extra shooting off the bench definitely would not be a bad thing. In the front court, we have some familiar faces in Pat Connaughton and Isaiah Hartenstein, as well as one new face. That player is Robert Covington. He's a fine 3-and-D veteran that has a lot of playoff experience, and most importantly, he is only averaging 4.7 points per game on the season. So, let's see how this final team does in our 2K simulation. Once again, really relying heavily on our two stars in Steph and LeBron, each playing 36 minutes a night. Off the bench, we're relying the most heavily on Isaiah Hartenstein and Robert Covington. This team finished just 43-39, the worst of all three teams, and will have to go through the play-in tournament as they are a 7th seed. They scored the most points at 118.6, but also allowed the most points of any of our three teams at 117.5, which kind of surprised me. I would have thought Team 2 would have the worst defense. During the regular season, Steph Curry averaged an insane 35 points per game, as he made an All-NBA first team, and LeBron averaged 28, 8.5, and 8 as an All-NBA second team member. In the play-in tournament, LeBron had a 33-point near triple-double to will this team into the playoffs where anything can happen. And well, anything happened, as the Cavaliers just can't beat the Knicks, and they advanced to round 2 in 6 games. In round 2, they continue their Cinderella run with an easy matchup against the Bulls in which they sweep. In the conference finals, LeBron averaged 34 points a game to beat the 76ers in 6 games, and they are able to complete their Cinderella run, beating the Pelicans in 5 games as LeBron went ballistic to get his 5th championship ring. So that does it. Team 1 and Team 3 were both able to win championships, while Team 2 was able to make it to the second round. None of our three teams won over 50 games won in the regular season, but hey, a championship is all that matters. Let me know if you guys kind of liked this new style of video and if you want to see anything more like this in the future. Until next time, peace.